Welcome to episode 7 in our series on wellness downfalls. Obviously, Spencer is in here instead of Chris because he's a goody two-shoes and isn't really, a good option for this one. We're talking about late nights.
Yeah, I kind of know those a little all too well. It's kind of like just a routine for me. I'm not really, I can be a morning guy, but I feel like I'm the most productive late at night, honestly.
So my question is then, is that a wellness downfall for you?
It can be, because then there can be late nights where I do absolutely nothing. Where I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going to do this. And then I get stuck on like social media.
Ooh.
And it's like, all right, cool, let's just take a little break. And then next thing you know, I never work on anything. So it could be productive, but it just kind of depends on like what happened that day, really. Like, did I have a busy day shooting or editing, or was I lethargic all day? So.
Yeah, I guess it can depend. What about you? Do you have any issues with this, or?
If I'm up too late, like 10:30, late for me.
Really?
I may
That's
catch
not
a
late at all.
second wind. Yeah, I know, right? I may catch a second wind and be up for a couple more, 3 more hours or something like that. So I try to, lately I've been going to bed at like 9, seems like. But that's where I wake up.
It's like dinner time.
Way early.
Yeah, I guess I should clarify. My late night is actually like bedtime, like 2 a.m. Like maybe 1:30, but it's just like sometimes I catch that flow zone at like 11:30, midnight, and then I'm like, all right, well, let's just go and knock this project out. Like, let's just keep going. And then there's other nights where I just get lost in distractions, and then the next thing you know, I'm like, oh wow, it's 2 a.m. We should probably go to bed.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I would say in your case, honestly, I don't even know if that's that bad. If you're in, a good state and you don't, I don't know.
It has its downfalls, let me tell you. I've had my experience with its downfalls because, sometimes, the productive side of it is no one's usually up that late, so I can get stuff done, nobody bother me. The unproductive side of it is if you have stress or any other things going on in your life and your mind's racing, then you have nobody to talk to. So your mind is only in your head and then you're thinking about everything. So that's where it's like the downfall, I feel like, can be at, which is also, having stress or, other issues in life.
Yeah, it can be a little bit of a snowball. For me, I'm pretty good during the week. Like, by 10:30, I'm in bed. Yeah. But if I happen to ever be up late, like for whatever reason, like when it hits 11 or so, I'm hungry again and I got to eat something. And options like late tend to not be as good.
Yeah.
So
I can relate to that as well, man. Like, especially if I'm working late editing, I'm like, all right, let's just get a little snack. Like the eyes are getting a little, screen's looking all the same. Like, let's go eat something. The next thing you know, I'm like meal prepping for the next day. And I'm like, well, there goes an hour or something like that. Like, I've had that happen to me.
Yeah. And if you're working or doing something else like late at night, you don't want to go. For me at least, I guess you might meal prep late at night, but
just never know.
I'll go find something that I can be munching on while I'm doing something, which it's never anything that good. So
yeah, it's usually not that filling, some grapes or, whatever. Like grapes has been my thing, the last couple months, late night snack. Let's just throw back as many grapes. And I'm like, all right, cool. It works out.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It just kind of depends though.
Yeah.
As far as late nights, but I'm a believer in late nights. So
hey,
I'll say that here.
But, for the occasional weekend for me these days, not too often, but especially when going out late, oh man, all habits are shattered. Yeah. I just think, myself in the past, really, not too much lately, but for anybody going out on the weekends, all wellness is going out the window.
Yeah, all thoughts are gone.
Yeah.
So, for instance, that's where the downfall is are you up late for a bad for a negative reason or for a positive reason? So it's are you out partying 3-4 till in the morning, something like that, and then you got to work at 6-7 or what it is, or are you just staying up late to work on stuff,
right?
Or self-care, whatever it may be. That's very, it's interesting.
So, how do we minimize this and minimize the downfall side of it? Not that the late night part is really the downfall, but what it leads to.
I don't think it's necessarily the late night, although when you look at the Chinese medicine clock, there's certain times of the day and night that correlate with body organs. So especially when you look at the nighttime, you can see how there's certain organs that are maybe detoxing at that time of the night. But then you look at it from a different angle, and if you do have a regular sleep routine that you're keeping where you're usually going to bed pretty late, whatever time that is, as long as you're maintaining that same schedule more or less, and then maybe, staying up an hour or so later on the weekends, that I think is more of a healthier way to approach, late night rather than beating yourself up over the fact that, I'm staying up late, I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. But if that's your natural routine, then it's what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty much a routine for me now. I'm getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep still. So it's not like I'm doing this and then getting up super early in the morning. Now, when I used to be in the golf business, I'd party till 3 a.m. and then I'd get up at 5 a.m. to get and open up the golf course. But that was a huge downfall of late nights for sure. Yeah. So avoiding that, it's just being conscious, I feel like, of how much sleep you're actually getting. Do you feel rested and the correct energy throughout the day? Yeah. And just finding your balance, really.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the key word with this. Awesome. Okay, so if you're going to be up late, like we kind of mentioned, I think sticking to a consistent schedule does the body pretty well. But don't let it turn into negative habits. Try to keep on track. Next week, we wrap up this series with workaholism. Ooh. Ever heard of it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So subscribe, stay tuned for that, and we'll see you soon.